Hello, everybody. I have a really lovely guest with me today. Actually, this is the second time we've recorded this. Only we're not going to go into the reasons why. We're just going with the fact that the second time is best.
Yeah, second time's a charm.
Second time's a charm. So we have both had a busy day. We're both working mums. We've had a full day. So we are feeling a little bit jaded, Yara, aren't we, at the moment?
Yes, but
So
your
bef
lovely face, Nikki, is
Oh,
infusing me with energy.
thank you.
Right,
Thank you.
it's true.
Sometimes it's fake it till you make it because how we talk
Yeah,
about things does affect our mood and our emotions. So, but this is going to be a really lovely conversation. And before we get going, I just want to start by just grounding us for a second because you've had a full day, I've had a full day. And for the other working mums that are listening to us, this is a really lovely exercise to help kind of focus down the mind on what we're going to be talking about. So are you up for doing this with me? It's not
yeah,
painful.
I'd love that.
Okay.
I'd really love that.
So I want you
Great.
to put your feet on the floor for a second and really notice whether they're in shoes, whether you're on carpet. What obviously, if you're listening to this and you're driving, don't do this because that might be dangerous. But just bring all your focus down into your feet for a second. And what I want you to do, Yara, is I want you to rub your hands together. And as you rub your hands together, you're going to feel a heat being created. And I want you to imagine that that's the emotion that you really need right now, whether it's love, courage, confidence, relaxation, whatever it is. Imagine that's
Clarity.
building in your hands. What did you say?
Clarity.
Clarity. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I want you to stop and I want you to put your hands instinctively where you feel you need that emotion on your body. And that's totally instinctual. Close your eyes and really focus on the warmth of your hands penetrating your body. And that is the emotion seeping into your body. So you said clarity. I'm going with grounded is my emotion that I need to feel. So I'm just going to allow that to absorb my body for a second. And then when you feel like that's absorbed into your body, you can just come back to me.
Got it.
Got it.
Okay.
It's just a really lovely exercise when when your mind is so busy and you're thinking about this thing and there's that thing and your mind
Mm.
is full. That's just a really quick, lovely exercise to help ground us back down.
I love it. I'm going to use it every day now.
Yeah, do
That's on
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. So the reason let's introduce Yara. So Yara David is someone I met recently. And your story, just kind of blew me away. So I invited you on the podcast because you're a working mum anyway, interior designer, wallpaper designer, and then more recently, uh, completely bizarrely, given that you had no interest in this field whatsoever, um, a teenage skin. I'm going to let you explain it, but it's Lala Lula. It's the
No, I'm
skincare.
very good, Nikki.
Lala Lula
Very
is the
good.
skincare brand that was created actually off the back of feeling mum guilt. So,
Yeah.
which is something we all experience, but you've taken that emotion and you've gone, right, I need to do something about it. So, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself very briefly, and then we'll go into the story of about what started this inspiration for a teenage skincare brand?
Yeah. So as you and I have discussed, I am an interior designer. When we met, I think I had just launched my first wallpaper range and my own website for that. But quite quickly after that, in fact, very quickly after that, and perhaps almost just as that was starting, just as that was coming to fruition, I was about ready to launch it. Something kind of happened in my world, as it were, between in my mothering world, and I kind of thought, actually, I need to pivot sideways. There's something that's much more important to me, but probably more important to other people
Ah,
than what's on their walls, which is very important. Your house is
yeah.
very important, but there are other wallpaper brands they could use. Whereas I didn't feel this was being dealt with. This area was being
Yeah.
dealt with. So do you want me to go into that?
Yeah. So tell us like a brief story about what how did this story begin, basically?
Okay, so the genesis for starting a natural teen skincare line
Yeah.
was the fact that 2 years ago in it must have been April 2023. Oh no, not 2 years even now. It feels that long. It's about 18 months now. April 2023, my daughter had become completely obsessed with skincare, bearing in mind she was 11 at the time, so very, very young. And not something that I had even considered being an area that she might have any interest in, because when I was young it was just makeup. There was no, it's difficult to get us to wash our face, let alone have a routine. But now they're all on social media. It's one of the ways the influencers were starting to gain following was by getting people to follow their skincare routines, and partially also because the makeup trend of the period at that time, and still is, was very natural, kind of glowing skin. So the most important part of that is lovely skin and well looked after skin. And so what was trending at the time was all these, I guess you could call them not just influencers, but celebrities, kids were doing their own skincare routines, and they had obviously huge followings. The one I remember was I think she's called, I can't remember her name, but she's Kim
Don't worry about names.
Daughter.
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian's daughter. Anyway, she had a TikTok site or an Instagram site, and she was doing her get ready with me and my skincare routine, and all the products that were in it were products that then became hugely popular. They went viral, and my daughter wanted these products. Anyway, I don't know anything about skincare. I hardly even put anything on my face. I certainly haven't stepped into any kind of, kind of skincare emporium for years and years and years, because it's just too expensive. And normally I just use actually something that that a girl I go to for massages had made herself. So I knew it was very natural, but I didn't really think that was important. I just liked it. Anyway, so I just used something. So it's essential oils and that kind of thing. Anyway, Tallulah, this is my daughter, she said to me, it was coming up to her 11th birthday, so she wasn't even 10 actually at the time, she was 10. And she said, there's this product I really, really want. I want to show it to you. So we were out shopping and we went into Boots, I think it was at the time. We went and had a look at this stand of this very, very popular brand, which was called Drunk Elephant. And I'd never heard of it. But I was immediately quite excited by it because it had really, really lovely packaging, and that's kind of my bag, my, visually very, very keen on what something looks like. And anyway, she showed me this serum that she wanted, and I tried it, and it was really, really lovely. I was like, oh yeah, that's really nice. But it was £56, and I was like, Tallulah, you're not seriously thinking of spending that sort of money on this serum, but that's what she wanted. And I've always, with her, I've always said if it's her money, she can spend it on what she wants, as long as it's not something that's illegal or bad for her. So she didn't buy it at the time, it wasn't yet her birthday. But after her birthday, when she had her money, we went shopping again. And we were going with the express purpose of buying, specifically looking at all the skincare brands that she was interested in, but probably buying this specific serum by Drunk Elephant. Anyway, we went into a store and we happened to bump into the assistant manager of the store, and she said, oh, what are you in for today? And I said, oh, she's after this product. And I didn't, I knew nothing about it. So I was like, oh, I think it's by a brand called Drunk Elephant. And her face just fell. And I was thinking, that's odd. And I was like, okay, danger ahead. And she just said, look, we're having a complete nightmare. This brand has gone completely viral, totally erroneously for this age group. We are inundated with kids coming in looking for products from this brand. Not just the serum that I talked about, but absolutely everything. She said it's totally inappropriate. It's an adult brand. and therefore all the active ingredients in there are trying to, minimize wrinkles or reverse the signs of aging, that kind of thing. And I said, yeah, oh, okay, feeling pretty abashed, but I said, yeah, okay, I understand it's not going to do anything for her. But she knows that, we both know that kind of thing. And the woman was like, well, that would be fine actually, but that's not the issue. The issue is that actually it's probably going to damage her skin. And it's going to prematurely age it, which would be like the complete opposite of what you might want. And the whole point of Tallulah getting this amazingly expensive brand was not just so that she could say she had this brand, but because it was a really, really lovely feeling. She thought it was really good, and it was a high-end brand, very, very high-end, beautiful packaging. Anyway, the one thing, so just to continue that story, so I then said to this girl, I said, okay, we get it. Tallulah was amazing about it. She totally was like shocked, but really, really interested. I said, fine, okay, not that brand. What can she have? And the woman was just like, well, in here, nothing. There is nothing for her. She cannot shop in the shop at all. So I was really shocked by that, because I thought, I know fine well there are a lot of brands in here that I know are trending on TikTok with her demographic. And nobody seems to have any clue that this might be inappropriate or a problem. So that was one thing. So anyway, we left the store. We didn't buy anything from that brand. But it's kind of got me thinking. I was thinking, well, that's really interesting. These kids, they have this new craze going on. They're very, very interested in these high-end premium brands, which is great. So from my perspective, I thought, well, that's good, because they're spending their money on something that's got very, very good ingredients in it. And the one thing I had picked up from Drunk Elephant is that they had this kind of banner on the top of the stand which said, we avoid the baddie 6. And it's a list of 6 ingredients that are in normal skincare, or like general skincare, that they've decided aren't actually that good and that they're taking out. And I was really interested by this because I had no idea. And I thought, what is it that they're taking out of these, these skincare products that would normally be in a skincare product that they think is a problem? And why is it a problem? Why don't I know that it's a problem? So it was things like sulfates, so I had to look down the list, alcohol, any kind of paraben. And so I didn't know anything about these things. I didn't know what they were. It turns out they're petrochemicals from the petroleum industry and gas, and their byproducts. And the reason that they're used in skincare is not only are they very, very cheap because they're a byproduct, but they're used as fillers, so they don't do anything nutritionally, but they're mainly used either as preservatives, which obviously they do need to keep the shelf life of these products, but they're used just for the look, for the feel, for the or whether they act as a humectant, which means that they bind water to them. Now there are natural humectants in most of the oils, like jojoba, and hyaluronic acid is the most famous one at the moment because it's particularly good at this. But then these are synthetic ones that don't really do anything other than that, and even that they do at a cost, because petrochemicals are where something called endocrine disrupting chemicals exist or are found in. And the problem with endocrine disrupting chemicals, particularly for teenagers, is that they interfere with the endocrine system, which is building everything. It's building the skin and the brain and the bones and your heart and the reproductive system. And what they discovered latterly, after petrochemicals kind of flooded into the skincare market since the 1950s, is they discovered that these things affect the hormones and the development of the hormones. And that's a major issue for teenagers, for everyone, but for teenagers specifically. So the very idea that these things were in normal products that I might buy in Boots, but they weren't necessarily in what has now been termed clean beauty at the higher end of the market, was complete news to me. And I was also incredibly shocked. But the other thing, Nikki, just to round out this story, is that as soon as she said to me, this product that your daughter is thinking of buying is going to potentially harm her, I just felt so guilty. I was like, how could I not have investigated or even known anything about what she was about to buy. It was complete news to me, and I felt really embarrassed actually saying to the woman, I literally don't know what you're talking about, but please tell me. So then that was part of the zeal for suddenly thinking, actually, she's about to get into an area and she's really passionate about it. And I think skincare is a great thing, washing their face and doing their teeth and, making sure that they get enough sleep, so their skin looks good. But if she doesn't really have a product that she can use, then there's a problem. And but it's not just her. It's all these other millions of kids who are now in this skincare craze phase, and they don't have anywhere to go, nor do they know they don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah, because it wasn't until I met you that I hadn't even considered.
Right.
You think something's natural, then therefore it must be good. I had, and I'm quite into or have been in the past, into sort of face serums and having a routine. I've always known the benefit of it. And my son, who's now 13, and he started to get the typical teenage spotty skin, and he's been putting pseudocreme on it, which has been working. It sort of dies down the redness. And I was like, well, that must be safe because you put it on babies. And you were like, no. So I have
not even close to being safe.
So what is it that we don't know that we need to be looking out for as mums?
So, well, there's two areas here. In fact, there are many areas, but let's just talk about two. So one, you've got the regular market for skincare products, and like you pointed out, so the baby care products. And that's at what you would now call the lower end or the general range. Those are full of petrochemicals. Now, some of these petrochemicals, the problem with them is that that in the process for extracting or creating the petrochemicals out of the petroleum, there are sometimes many, side effects to that, where they create a kind of byproduct chemical, and that has been that they tested that, and they now think those are carcinogens. So there's those problems. Then you have the other problems, the endocrine disrupting chemicals, where they were being used all the time. The petrochemicals that contain those were being used all the time because up until about 10 years ago, this industry was almost self-regulating, and they would only really test for what obviously was creating an irritant or an irritation, or was going to really hurt your eye if you put it in it, all the horrific animal testing. But now they test in other ways. But for similar things, it wasn't until they realized that something might be happening, and obviously it's in the food as well and in all our cleaning products, but they realized something might be happening because of the rise of all the autoimmune diseases and the problems with reproduction in our age group and younger, and they started to think that we're obviously ingesting or somehow taking on something that's not very good for us. So that's when they tested for the effect on the hormones. And that's when they found out that a lot of these petrochemicals contain EDCs. Now, the problem with this is that unless you know what these chemicals are called, and if you've looked at the back of the ingredients, you can see, the list of chemicals is ridiculous. It's like that long. Yeah. Unless you understand what you're looking at, you won't know that those have been suggested that they are endocrine disrupting chemicals, the ones that you're looking at. So you'd have to educate yourself, and it's not on CNN, it's not on ITV news, and it's not on the outside of the packaging. No. So what happened as a sort of response to that was that clean beauty happened, but because naturally produced ingredients or plant-derived ingredients are much, much more expensive because of the way they have to be harvested and the cyclical, it's much, much more manpower than just some byproduct chemicals. Yeah. These products are more expensive. And if you're not in for that, or you don't understand the necessity of buying clean beauty products, you will obviously just go for the lower end, particularly for kids, because you think it doesn't matter. You know, they're not trying to, you know, erase the signs of aging. They're not really doing anything than cleaning their skin, and that can't be that bad for them. But then you think of all the body lotions and the body mists are literally the worst. They've got the worst amount of petrochemicals in. So, I mean, it's not that this is news. To some people, this isn't news at all. And there's a huge healthcare market, natural healthcare, that has arisen because of this. There are loads of people for years and years have understood this, but the products they're producing, while being good, are A, expensive, and B, packaged in a way, you know, it's all brown packaging. It's nothing exciting. Kids don't want it, and they're not trending on TikTok. So there were two problems here that I had, which is I can't just say, okay, to Lulu, you can't have these products because these aren't safe, because they're the problem with the adult clean beauty products was that it wasn't necessarily the ingredients themselves, some of which were natural and some of which weren't. So you've got a whole other grayer area of safe synthetics. So they're synthetic, they come from the petrochemical industry, but they've been deemed safe. Well, they're safe until they're tested for something else. That's the problem. So you've got all these safe synthetics, and then you've got the natural bioactive ingredients, bioactive. And those are great, but very expensive. But the levels that they put them in the products, because they need it to do something, are far too high for kids. And they're often asking the skin to do something it shouldn't be doing at their age, which is, you know, like resurfacing. That kind of thing, you know, shedding the cells too quickly, or just in some way interacting with their hormones, which isn't going to be particularly good. So that's the problem with those. So you've got the high end only really for adults. You've got the natural skincare market, which could be good, could be very good. In fact, that's where Tallulah is at the moment. But they don't want to show their friends. They don't want to make a TikTok about it. They don't want to. They don't want to have it on their vanity, you know, worktops or whatever, desk. I don't know what Tallulah's is called. They don't want to look at them. They want to look at the bright, shiny packaging. So,
which is where you were inspired to come in, because
I come in.
This is where you come in. So from what I've picked up, you've taken your mum guilt, which when you think I should have known this, of course you're going to feel guilty. That's a normal response, I think, for any loving parent. But what I think is amazing that you've done, Yara, is you've taken that guilt and you've used it to drive such a positive business. So tell us about Lala Lula.
So exactly. Thank you, Nikki. It's very sweet to say. I was really passionate about it. I also thought, do you know, I can do this, because the one piece of that puzzle was they needed a brand where somebody cared enough about the packaging and the presentation that they would be interested in it. Because half of this, in fact, probably more like 80% of this situation is by the kids themselves, not by the parents. So these kids are going out on Saturday, and their new ritual is to go with each other, buy makeup. Yes, that's a whole other story. And yes, there are natural makeup brands now being developed, of course, because they have to be too. But let's say they would buy makeup, and they would always have done that. You know, you'd go into town with your best friend, you go and buy, you talk about boys, and it'd be great fun. Well, now the other piece to that is they go and they buy these new skincare trending brands. And so what I needed to be able to do for Tallulah and for everybody else was to build something that would educate them, but would give them what they wanted. So would educate them, would provide what they needed. They would provide a pure beauty brand, a safe brand, a completely transparent brand, because I care that much about it, because I have a daughter who's using these products, but also would be packaged in a way that they would love and would be proud of. To me, that was easy. It was like the easiest thing in the world. Actually building a skincare brand, very, very difficult, takes a very long time, and it's really expensive. So I'm kind of driven now by the passion, but also by, with this far down the line, I need to see this through so that I get the actual product so that she can have it. But yes, it won't be cheap. It won't, no way of doing it would kill the business. It couldn't exist. But it will be on a level with other natural skincare brands. It will be between them and the very high-end premium adult brands. Because of course adults can afford that sort of money and kids can't.
And what I love as well that you said about with regards to the education is how, you know, I had no idea until we had this conversation. So having that education of part of this business was really important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really important because what I saw was Tallulah and I had gone into that shop and we were so lucky to meet that girl because there are so many assistants. I've been in this shop since and you know, many times, and very few assistants are willing to or know enough to talk to you about these brands or what's in them. They just don't know. She happened to be the assistant manager and she really knew her stuff, and she was genuinely concerned about what was happening. So we were really lucky. But I've forgotten what you said.
I was just asking about the education, and I know
Oh
you
yes,
said before,
sorry.
if you feel like this isn't just your passion is obviously Tallulah and having safe, pure skincare for her, but also all the other being a parent for all the other children and teenagers. When we're like, as a parent, I'm not educated, but you are now.
I
In
am.
you are now in with all the research and with all the, you know, the what's the when it's
Bioactives.
bioactive.
Bioactive just means it's natural, but it will do something. It's not just going to sit on your skin and just, you know, maybe make it feel nice. It actually does something. So, I mean, we haven't even talked about that. The bioactives in natural plant medicine are absolutely insane. Why they ever went to synthetics? Well, the only reason was money. But it's extraordinary. So the way, so just to get to the educational piece first. As soon as I found out and Tallulah found out with me, and we were so lucky to have that girl tell us, and she'd been in skincare since she was 18, so she certainly knew what she was talking about. I then immediately thought, wait a minute, what about all these millions of children who are watching and following these influencers who really haven't got a clue what they're talking about? What about them? Nobody's telling them. And I tell you, and the other thing that we found out from the girl is that these brands don't look to those brands to be telling you. Drunk Elephant were not saying a word about all this that was happening on TikTok. In fact, they were reposting the videos where young kids were saying, oh, use this, you know, we use these 5 Drunk Elephant products for our skincare routine, completely inappropriately. They didn't say a word. And then when they were finally called out, which must have been 8 months after we first heard and I started, you know, this skincare journey, they said, oh, we had no idea. And of course, yes, not all our products are, you know, suitable for children, but most of them are. And I mean, I think that's no good because they don't know which ones. And actually, as this girl told us, only one of the products was, and they produced something like 20. So, you know, they were being completely disingenuous and it wasn't true. But yes, what happened once I started researching and I started researching pure beauty was the discovery that you know, the natural world is our apothecary shop. I mean, which is, of course, what traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine have always known for thousands of years. And we're talking 5,000 years in some cases. So my first port of call was to start researching those modalities. And then when I discovered what some of these plants do, thinking, well, this is genius, because these are the sort of things that actually kids with hormonally changing skin, with the challenges that your son is facing, you know, with the breakouts and acne and how to control sebum, this can be done by natural plant ingredients. You know, saffron, for instance, is a natural UV protector. I'm not saying don't use SPF. I'm just saying it will help build the barrier, the skin barrier, specifically against UV photovoltaic rays. I mean, that's one of its attributes. And then you have something like white willow or purple willow, which is the highest level of natural salicylic, I was trying to remember the name of the word, salicylic acid, which is now massively produced synthetically because it is so good at treating breakouts. It's absolutely brilliant for spots. And actually, I don't have, I mean, we're of an age we hardly get spots, but I do sometimes if I late up, which I always am, or if I'm not eating healthily enough, or I'm just really, really tired. And the other day I had something growing out, like it felt sore, tender on my chin. I thought, oh, I'm getting a spot. Normally, I would reach for something like Clearasil, which I've been using since I was, 14, and is absolutely vile in terms of the chemicals that are in there. I mean, just really awful.
Oh my goodness.
So bad. And I just sprayed on our toner, because we now have these products, sprayed on the toner, gone in 2 days. Didn't even come out. And then by the second day, completely gone. And I was like,
this is amazing.
It actually works.
It actually works. So tell us, so the brand is called Lala Lulu. It's packaged beautifully in line with what teenagers are going to like and love. Oh, look, and it's pink, which I love. And
that's the jelly wash. That's the facial wash.
Yeah. So tell us what products have you currently got ready to test?
Launch. Yeah.
Yes.
So we have one cleanser. It's not foaming, because that's one of the areas that strips the skin when it foams up, and that's usually a sulfate that is put in there to foam, to artificially foam. You can get, there are some natural foamers, soap bark is one of them, and that's in our cleanser, but it doesn't foam. It's a balm that then, as soon as you put water on, it goes into a milk. So it's a really lovely feeling, and it's very, very moisturizing. So when you take that off, it doesn't feel stripped at all. So it's a cleanser, so it's a gel cleanser. Then there's the toner that I just mentioned, which is it's a face mist. You can use it all day. It sets makeup, so that's brilliant, because the kids are all using these horrible synthetic makeup setters, so that's quite good. And then there's moisturizer, which, as I said, has 3 or 4 natural ingredients that build up your UV barrier, so as well as various other things.
Brilliant. Yeah. So will this be, I'm just thinking, I'm in the beautiful menopausal phase of my change. Yeah. So it's not just teenagers, like women go through this change, hormonal change. So I know you're absolutely marketing to teenagers, but would it benefit a hormonal woman as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's natural, pure skincare. It can't not benefit. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. And the other thing is the moisturizer, although we don't actively target anti-aging, there are 3 or 4 products in there, including crushed pearls, which actually build elasticity back into the skin, and they protect the retinol. Yeah, the retinol that's already in the skin. Wow. So yeah, really, really good. We just don't go after anti-aging as such. It's just it's really just keeping the skin at its kind of peak health.
Yeah. So
that's the idea. So yeah, I use it every day. I love them. Yeah,
I love it. So when are we going to be able to get our hands on Lala Lulu? Lala Lula.
Yes, that's the next bit. Lala Lula. So my daughter's Tallulah. So, and I call her Lula.
It's because I figured out why I struggle with this. It's because Yara was like, Nikki, you're doing a podcast. You have to be able to say it right. But I think it's because I keep going to say, I want to say Yara. I want to say Yara Lula. Because then it's you and her. So, but then I stumble. I'm like, so it's Lala Lula, named after Tallulah. La 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 la.
Yeah. If you've got Lululemon, that's Lulu. So yeah, there's a lot in that space.
Yes.
That sounds similar. But once you see it, Nikki, you won't forget.
No, I won't. It's
then forever.
Beautiful. So yes, when are we likely to be able to get our hands on this?
So the stage we're in now is we have to go to claim substantiation. So that means everything has to get not only will it be tested just to be sure that it's absolutely it's not the safety, it's more the stability testing to see that it doesn't degrade or whatever while you're it's got how long the shelf life is and all that, but also safety testing, all that. But the lab where it's made, I mean, they've got 30 years experience in this. I know there's not going to be a problem. So I'm expecting that the 3 formulas we have in place now will be the ones that we'll go to market with. But that does take some time. You just have to jump through those hoops. Same time, we have to have claim substantiation, which means kids testing these products, blind testing, so they won't know what they are. So we're realistically looking about April, and that's when we'll be producing, see these, that's a little mini size. We'll be producing 3 of those in one skincare kit like that.
Love it.
And we're going to be giving away 200 of those to kids. So if anybody listening wants one for their daughter or son, it can be used by anybody.
Yeah.
And the age range is 12 to 21. 21 is about when you might start thinking about, aggressively going after lines that you have.
Yeah.
You're aging. But as I say, I'm using it and I love it. Then if they were to either go on the website and go to the brand ambassadors and put in their child's details, or just drop me an email, and I'll put them on the list for one of the free ones, which we'll be producing and handing out hopefully April.
I love it.
That's the idea.
I'm so excited. I can't wait because Blue, my son, is well up for trying it. When I came back and I said, "Would you try it?" He was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And then I was like, I can't wait to try it either because I do love a really good feeling beauty product. I use Tropic at the moment, which I believe is quite good.
I don't know that brand at all.
Oh,
Is
don't
it?
you?
No.
So it's adult. I mean, I think they do have a couple of baby products potentially, but from what I understand, they are very low toxic.
Yeah, low toxin, yes.
Low toxins.
I mean, there are lots of levels of this. I mean, we've got the whole greenwashing issue where a brand formerly completely synthetic will take 2 natural products, put them in, whap it all over the packaging, and suddenly they're a natural brand. Well, no, they're not. You just have to look at the ingredients, and they've probably got 20 other synthetics in there.
Yeah.
So, for instance, there's the only other. So at the time, and I didn't mention this, there was a teen focused brand. So that's the point about this, is it's 14. So we're never going to have an inclusion level that wouldn't be appropriate for their skin. Yeah. And that hadn't really been done before. And yet there was a company in America called Bubble who had started it a year before me, which I hadn't realized about because those products weren't here. They are now here. But the thing about them, and they do most things right, they're a little bit like Drunk Elephant in that they have a kind of list of things that they don't include, which obviously we certainly wouldn't have in. So they're kind of non-toxic, they're vegan, they do all those things right. I had their Cloud Surf moisturizer analyzed just to check because I wasn't entirely sure, and I knew that they use some natural ingredients, probably, and a lot of natural bioactives like we do. But as well as that, they had, and I asked our lab to evaluate their the product, and it came back with 13 synthetics and petrochemicals as well as all these
so
natural
still
products.
containing,
and all these things are doing is it's just about the feel of the product. So it's literally whether it makes it more able to absorb water, that kind of thing, humectant or emulsifier. So it kind of bulks up the product. So it's all rubbish, really. So you can't trust anything. But that's the whole point. We want to be a brand that parents, that the kids will love and want to buy themselves, but the parents will know if they are buying our product, they're fine, they're safe. We've got them. Let's put it that way. I want to kind of mother everybody.
Yes, I love it. I love it so much, and I just think that it's such a beautiful way of just sort of completing the circle of mum guilt. Coming back to that, this is what makes us such loving, fiercely passionate mums, isn't it? The love for our children and that protective like bubble that we want to put around them isn't always possible. But what I love is that you've taken that and you've gone, actually, there's a need in the market. And I love this. I can feel that need. I can do that. And so you went and did it. And I just think that is incredible. So thank
And
you. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to actually get my hands on some
I
samples.
know you'll be addicted. I tell you, we're already fighting each other, Tallulah and I.
Good.
So that
Yeah.
was like the best kind of benchmark for me was the fact that when they first arrived, when the products first arrived, because we're testing them, so they have to come to us first, and we do all the does Tallulah like the feel of it? Does she like the smell of it? The smell's amazing, by the way, because they've all got natural ingredients in it that are quite aromatic. All these essential oils. And so we were first testing them, and initially she was like, yeah, no, she liked them, and she might use it. Oh, that one's a bit, that one's too creamy for her, and then she wanted something lighter. And they're amazing what they can do at the lab without adding anything else. It's just how they mix it and in
Yeah.
what order they mix ingredients. It was incredible. They really know what they're doing. Anyway, they've come up with something absolutely great. She absolutely loves it. But initially she still had these products. So she started using the bubble products, which I didn't know then had all these other things in, and Bioma, which again apparently are not that great. But anyway, she was using all of these, and she really liked them because they're in their packaging. And so she was pushing back a little bit about using Lala Lula because it had no packaging. It was just in these little plastic bottles. And then she started using them, and now she's like, I can't use anything else. She just stopped using all her other products. She only uses it, but we're fighting because, of course, we're about to run out. We've gone through what they've sent us, and they haven't got any more. They have to keep it for the stability testing. So anyway,
I
you will
love it.
like it, trust me.
So we will put the links below to get on your website to start following Lala Lula on Instagram so
Yeah,
that when you go viral, I want everyone to remember you heard it here first, though, on the
it
Working
was you,
Mum
Nikki.
podcast.
You were the first,
Always. Thank you.
first everything.
Thank you so much for joining me today, given that you've had a full long day. I hope that I've energized you rather than depleted you.
No, you have. It's been really great. Thank you, Nikki, and thanks for taking the time to talk about it. Because for me, I'm incredibly passionate, and I think it's an important subject
Yeah,
because it's so little's known about it. But thank
yeah,
you, really
it
cool.
really is. It really is. So yeah, maybe when you're huge, we can have you back and talk about what it's like to be like the head of an international company or something like that. That would be
I'll
so
probably
fun.
be exactly the same.
I
And
know. Of
yes, I'm a
course you
bit
will.
tired today.
I've been in meetings all day.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but that's the joy, isn't it? So thank you so much, and I'll speak to everyone again next week. Bye.